From the Modelo Studios in Lubbock, Texas, this is Campus Live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. Actually, our second episode. I act like we have 100 episodes, but this is only our second episode of the Campus Live podcast. And I'm excited today, man. We got Corbin Young in the house. If you were paying attention to some of Campus Live stuff, you'll notice the Young family was actually here not too long ago, and we got to feature you guys as the West Texas Spotlight family. That's awesome. It was a good time, and we appreciate you guys coming for that. And, again, appreciate you stopping by the studios today, Corbin. So, yeah, man, welcome to the show.
Absolutely, man. It's good to be here. It's we won't have the distractions of my three little kids running around like we did last video.
They were actually fine.
Yeah.
You know what? They were great. Was your little son? It was your son. He just kind of wanted to move around a little bit, but yeah,
no slowing him down.
We kind of like had the amount of questions we had, and it's in and out. At least we try to get you in and out as quick as possible, understanding the children. And stuff,
man, it's all good. It's a family spotlight.
Yeah,
that's the real deal, right there.
It's authentic.
That's right.
It's genuine. Yeah. It's genuine. So I can't tell you like how. We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys coming in. And
super honored. I don't know what the criteria is for that. I've had several people ask me.
Well, they gave us a list.
Super honored, yeah.
They gave us a list of 5, and you were the last.
Yep.
And no one else could come, so we had to. No,
that's the real deal right there, see? Genuine.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show again. And here's the thing, man, is we just want to be authentic here, too, and genuine here. And I'm just going to kind of go into it. Who is Corbin Young? Where you come from? Where did you graduate? Let us know a little bit about your backstory.
Sure, man. Well, I mean, it kind of all starts for me. Just we were talking off air. Grew up in a little bitty town, so I'm just kind of a small town country kid. Grew up northwest of Fort Worth in Paradise, Texas. So I've heard all kinds of jokes about Paradise. But Paradise is where we're all trying to get one day, right? I'm from there. Yeah. I've already been there, done that. But no, love my hometown. Still have my parents and a lot of family in that area, northwest of Fort Worth. But yeah, grew up there, small school, and something that was really big. I mean, 2 parts, and you'll see this really throughout probably this entire conversation because it's hard to talk about my story without bringing up these 2 things. One is my faith, and then the other one is just sports.
Yeah.
And so growing up in a small town, had fantastic parents, was raised in a little church there in Paradise, but also being at a 2A high school, you play everything. And I know you went to a small school,
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't trade that for anything. I was never forced to have to pick just one sport, played it all, did it all. No regrets. Love it. And then that, afforded me the opportunity to go and at least play at another small school. Had the chance to play football at the Division III level.
Oh, nice. What school was that?
So it's in Brownwood, Texas, Howard Payne University.
Howard Payne? Yeah. I know
just
Howard
up the road from rural Texas.
Yeah,
but,
not too far.
But no, so, I always joke with people, now I work a lot with the Division I athletics and stuff like that at Tech, but I had a D1 heart, but Division III talent. So I went where the talent took me, and that's D3. But yeah, I went and played football there. Had a great time at Howard Payne. And,
awesome.
that was where I was first introduced to FCA, which has kind of been the last 10 plus years of my life. Has been working with this organization called the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Absolutely.
And so Howard Payne was where I was introduced to the ministry just as a student athlete, became a leader, and then came on staff with the organization right out of college. I also met my wife, actually.
At Howard Payne?
At Howard Payne in an FCA meeting. And so she was playing tennis, and I was playing football, so we just kind of gravitated towards that sports ministry of FCA.
Ground there, huh?
And it was a great connection, and she's a West Texas girl, so that's part of the reason why we've continued to move west, and she's got a lot of family, grew up out near Midland. Went to Grady. So she's an even smaller school.
Grady, yeah, that's 6 man. That's small. Grady, Texas, right? Am I right?
Very little. I think she had like 13 in her graduating class.
Yep,
and so we're both just kind of small town, small school kids. And, fell in love in college. And now we have 3 kids and live here in Lubbock for the last 4 years. And And so it's been a great journey so far.
Did you guys play Hardin Simmons? Were they in your conference at all?
Yeah, same conference. They were, what we would call rivals.
Okay.
They may not call us rivals. We're kind of like the little brother to them, probably.
We are close. Brownwood and Abilene's right there.
But I think in the overall, Howard Payne's beat Hardin Simmons more. But in my time, we only beat them 1 out of the 4.
But the overall matters. That's what matters.
But we ruined one of their homecomings.
It was fun. Because they had it all planned out, right? We're going to roll all over, Howard, and then have a good time afterwards and just ruin their whole day, man.
That conference we were in, it's the American Southwest Conference, and Mary Hardin Baylor is
they're legit.
Just dominant.
Right, every year.
And Hardin Simmons was right behind them. And so, a lot of good football at that level. Just doesn't give it as much love.
No, not at all. And some people say, hey, man, that's 13th grade football or whatever, you know what I'm saying? The thing is, though, is what I've noticed, even going watching Hardin Simmons, is I think you get more effort out of those kids for some reason.
Absolutely. I argue all the time that, man, it is purely for the love of the game because you're not there for scholarship.
No.
You're not there for facilities. And that's the hardest part for those coaches at the Division III level to recruit. It's like, there is no good facilities except for the schools like Mary Hardin Baylor, and some of those have some special things that make them different. But overall, man, you're just going for the love of the game.
Yeah, that's pure.
And it's pure. It's, I think, one of the purest forms of the sport.
I agree. I'm completely in there with you. And then, there's still grass fields in Division III. I mean, it's just like rugged and tough.
Man, you're traveling on a bus. I mean, you're not getting
the yellow dog.
No first class, planes like Tech and everybody in the Big 12's got.
Like, you might even still pass down the athletic wear. From
there was jokes when I was there that a lot of our practice gear came from Stephenville High School because they were blue and gold and their mascot was the Yellow Jackets, which is what Howard Payne was, blue and gold and yellow. So we got all of our stuff from Stephenville High School is what people joked about.
That's funny. That's good stuff with it. So did you spend all 4 years there at Howard Payne?
I did. Yeah. I was there with football. Ended up having some success. My senior year, got to be an all-conference receiver.
Oh, nice, man.
Team captain and stuff like that.
I was going to ask you what position. You were a receiver.
Yeah, so I was a slot receiver, just like a little inside
you were quick.
guy.
You were quick and
I obviously wasn't big. I was quick, yeah. So did, punt return, kick return, and
So had a blast at Howard Payne. At the end of the day, it's like, because there's really nothing in Brownwood. It's kind of like you said.
Well, but Brownwood was about 4 times bigger than Paradise, so it was like going to the big city.
A city to
Man, they had restaurants. It was nice.
Right. Yeah, we can actually go out and eat.
Yeah, no,
wow.
A lot of those guys that would come from inner city, it was just they were just, Brownwood's so terrible. Man, I have nothing but love for Brownwood. It's a great place. Yeah, great time at Howard Payne.
Did you ever hear of a little town called Richland Springs?
Oh yeah, they're the dynasty, man,
right,
6 man.
There you go. So you know all about that good stuff.
Well, when I first came on staff with FCA, it was there in that Brownwood area, and so I actually served all the schools in a 7-county kind of radius around Brownwood, and so for 3 years, man, I had about 40 different campuses, and Richland was one of the
campuses. So you met Coach Burkhart and all them people out there.
So yeah, we've gone out there and done FCA on all those schools.
Were you an FCA? I say FCA type of kid, because what does FCA stand for?
Just FCA is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yeah,
and the thing that kind of makes FCA unique is it is on school campuses, and so FCA, I always clarify to people, it's not a substitute for the church. It's what we call a para-church organization, right? So it's a partner.
Sure.
It's just really just an extension of the local church onto these, public school campuses because it's a student-led organization.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, it's allowed to be, where you can't just come in and have church, in a worship service on a public school campus, but through organizations like FCA and others, because of the student-led aspect, they have the freedom to practice their faith in that way. And so it really does. I think the public school campus is the greatest mission field in America.
Man, ain't it? I mean, that makes sense.
And then I think, obviously, sports are one of your greatest platforms.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at some of the most influential people in the world, and they're coaches and athletes.
That's exactly right.
You look at any survey, and I think the most recognizable faces on the planet 10 years ago was Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, and now it's like LeBron James. I mean, it's always athletes.
It is.
And some of these, soccer or football players,
football.
But it's always athletes, and there's just sports it's a universal language.
I agree.
For us, it just becomes a great vehicle, a platform to share the gospel. So many of the life lessons people learn, or through, athletics and just coaches. And so that's kind of where we're at, is we're pouring into those coaches and those athletes.
So let's talk. How did FCA come about? Like, where did this begin? Where was it created?
Yeah, so it started way back, actually, over 60 years ago. And there was a basketball coach. I believe he was an assistant coach at the University of Oklahoma. And so his name's Don McClannon. He's the founder. And basically, it's a really cool story. He had this vision. In the late 40s and 50s, the marketing aspect of sports just blew up. Companies selling cars or selling cigarettes or cereal, it didn't matter. You realized, hey, if you put an athlete on the box, on the Wheaties box, it sells.
Absolutely.
And now we see that it's just common, like commercials. The Super Bowl was just this past Sunday. You have that marketing piece, and they just go hand in hand with sports now. But that was a new kind of novel concept then. And he had this concept. He goes, well, if they're going to use the platform that athletes have, the influence they have in our culture, why don't we use that for the gospel? Why don't we use that to advance the kingdom of God? And so he said, we need to create a fellowship of other believers, of other Christians from all different sports. And so FCA was birthed in 1954, really as a camp ministry, and then it grew beyond just having these sports camps to, hey, what can we do throughout the year, weekly, to be pouring into. And that's where it started infiltrating into the campuses from these kids that would go to these camps, and then they would go back to their schools, and FCA became kind of just a small group to re-engage on a weekly basis.
And did you say it started in Texas? Is this a Texas type?
It really originated in Oklahoma. Is really kind of the epicenter of the birth of it. Now we have our national office is actually in Kansas City, Missouri. And has been for a while. But, I had no idea. I had heard of FCA in high school, but really didn't get involved until I got to college. And so I didn't know really much about it. And certainly even while I was, an athlete in the ministry, I didn't know that it was like a career opportunity. And I had surrendered to ministry when I was 18, always with kind of the thought process that that would be within the church walls, that I would be a youth pastor or something like that.
But you felt called to that? Was it a calling?
It was when I was 18. I through several different kind of mentors and just a pastor at the time, and then also I'd gone to a youth camp over summer. A pastor actually from Lubbock who was a big evangelist, John Randall's. A lot of people around West Texas know that name. And Randall's was preaching at this camp that I was attending in high school, and it just was a very clear, that I kind of had my own plans for my life. My parents are both small business owners, and I thought I'd come back, work with my dad in the steel business, and so I kind of had that plan that I'd go to college, get a business degree, and man, it's just kind of like ruined all those plans at that camp because it just became very clear that, hey, man, Corbin, that's great, but you've actually been bought with a price, and I call the shots, you don't.
Yeah, right.
So if you want to go that route, you can. But if you want to, be obedient, then I'm really calling you to preach the word and surrender to ministry. And I didn't really know what that meant or what that was going to look like. Ran from it for a while, wrestled with it because, what I knew of preachers were that was not a life I wanted to necessarily pursue. I was like, they're weak, they're soft, it's boring, and they don't have no fun.
I'm with you.
They're just not real people. I hadn't really seen many people in ministry that were just real people that I could relate to, and so that was a hard wrestling there at about 18. But I just surrendered to it, and it's been amazing since then how God's like shown me in hindsight. Hey, I know you better than you know you because I made you. I'm who wired you with all those passions, and so literally, man, it's just been amazing how FCA has combined those passions of, like I said, from the very beginning, sports and my faith in Jesus, man. I mean, it's just, I love it. Because if I wasn't in FCA and I wasn't in business with my dad or something like that, I'd always foreseen possibly even coaching.
Yeah, that makes sense for you.
Just to stay around sports. And just the impact. Coaches, I don't think there's a more influential position in our country or even in our world than coaches. And so, I saw that as a great opportunity, but FCA gives me the chance just to be more intentional with my faith and pouring into those influencers. Yeah. So,
and I would say, and it's when you say it's grown, I mean, I'm thinking like myself in high school, FCA was around, but it wasn't like as bright, I would say, or evident. And now it seems like FCA's made some leeway, right? They've taken
absolutely,
off
man. When I started on staff, I was in Brownwood. We had 2 full-time staff in Abilene. There was, I believe, maybe 2 full-time staff up in Amarillo, 1 out in El Paso, and that was it. I left Brownwood in 2013 to take a position within FCA, just kind of transferred to become the director in Midland, Odessa. And so I served that Permian Basin area, about 14 counties out there in West Texas. And, man, I was the first person to ever even serve in that area, which blew my mind.
Oh, wow.
You've got Friday Night Lights, Mojo, Midland Lee, all that.
Miles.
I mean, it's like that is the epicenter of high school football. Yeah. They've got the movie to prove it.
There's a movie about this.
So, and then on top of that, you have all the resources of the oil and gas industry there. It's just unlimited resources. And so you would think a nonprofit, something like FCA, would have raised the funds to hire staff and just explode. They hadn't up until that point. So in 2013, I took that position, and it was amazing what God was doing there in that area. And so they have staff now. But all that to say, man, when I started, there was only a handful of us that were really on staff full-time every day. Like, this is what we got up and did.
Yeah.
And now, man, we have almost 30 staff in West Texas. Just in this decade since I've been on staff, it's really grown. And that's just kind of the microcosm of FCA in this area.
Crazy.
But when you look across the globe, I had no idea. FCA is the largest sports ministry of its kind in the entire world. There's a lot of other organizations that do similar work, but FCA has over 2,000 staff.
Wow.
Had no idea it was that size.
In the world. This is the world.
This is the world. And a majority of that's here within the States.
Yeah.
But you have literally in over 82 countries, FCA has staff and a presence.
Wow, man.
Whether that be through camps or just ongoing discipleship and sports mission trips and stuff like that. So there's a lot. It's amazing when you kind of peel back the curtain and look at how God's using this ministry.
Yeah.
It's very evident.
That's awesome. So how does it, your role with Texas Tech, like what's this, does FCA play a role in this, or is that separate or different?
Yeah, so and a lot of people are real confused about that. Like people even I know, they think I work for Tech.
Yeah, and it says chaplain beside your name, right?
Because that's what I do all the time is I'm just on the campus at Tech.
Yeah.
But, just to clarify, like I am an employee still of FCA.
Right.
And I'm in the eyes of the university, I'm a volunteer. And so yes, I serve as a chaplain, but I'm employed through Texas Tech, still supported through a team that we have to fundraise. That's part of FCA being a nonprofit. Yeah. And so I'm not paid by like athletic staff money and
there's no budget for you, right? For your salary.
And that's important for people to know, because I think sometimes people are like, how does this work at a state school that tax dollars are going to pay for, advancing?
This ain't adding up here.
Yeah. So but that's where it's different. And there's rules all within the NCAA, just like in the military, there's chaplains of all different faiths and backgrounds like that. Because when you're in the military, just like it's very similar, when you're in college athletics, especially at this level, you really aren't afforded the free time sometimes to go and practice your faith. Where if you're traveling with the baseball team this spring, you're going to have a game on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Waco against Baylor. You don't get to go to church on Sunday because of your sport. And so the NCAA, there's just like the same reason the military has chaplains. You have to. That's part of the Constitution. That you've got to give people the freedom to practice their faith. And so that's where chaplains come in. And so FCA has a lot of chaplains across the country that serve on different college campuses, even all across Texas and all across the country.
Yeah. So you have an office on camp? Is there an office for you? Like if I was to come find you and want to talk?
No, I actually don't. Some FCA chaplains do. But here at Texas Tech, I don't. In the past, there has been more of that, but currently there's not. And part of that's just, I think it's more of a protection for the athletic department, because there's a lot of people that want to attack what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And want to try to keep that out. And so, really there's not a need for me to have an office. We technically have an office provided through Citibank, actually provides FCA, office space right on the second floor, right across from the football facility on University.
Oh, no.
They have a bank there, a location right next to Chili's.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, literally, I'm walking distance.
It's like right on the strip of University.
Yeah, so I'm walking distance. But most of my meetings, man, whether it's individually, they're at coffee shops with students. We're not meeting in my office.
That's the good stuff anyways,
like
right?
That. So, and then beyond that, what I'm doing is I'm just going where they're at, whether that's within practices, and it looks different on every sport. And that's kind of what's different. Some FCA chaplains will only serve, like, say, the football team only. On our staff, we actually, at Texas Tech specifically, there's myself who serves primarily with men's athletics, and then we just hired last year an assistant men's athletics chaplain, Bradley Adkins. He actually was on the track team a couple of years ago and was, just an All-American high jumper, actually qualified and jumped in the Olympics with Team USA.
Oh, wow.
In
he's
Rio.
A stud, man.
So he's a stud, and he's an Idalou, boy, grew up here, knows all about it. And he was a great hire to add to our team, and he's been in the footsteps of the athletes at Texas Tech.
Makes great sense.
And so he's with us, and then also we have a female chaplain, Brandy Cantrell, and she's actually been here longer than I have in her role. I've only been in my role for 4 years, but with FCA for 10.
Sure.
So,
oh, wow.
So all together, we're serving all the different teams, and that looks different. Like I said, just depends on what the leadership and the coaching staff of that program desires and what those student athletes want. And so in some sports, it looks different even every year because as players come and go, whether they transfer or graduate, you have some that are like, hey, we want a team Bible study. All right, we'll help facilitate that. We'll provide resources. We'll provide leadership. Whether that's a team chapel or something like that, we will help facilitate that. Whatever the needs are, we're there to meet those needs. And even if it's just in a pastoral sense, that we do a lot of just one-on-ones with students.
That's a good stuff,
just counseling, prayer. They're away from home. They've got a lot on their plates. And so we're just there to serve them. That's really what it's all about.
So you do spend time with these college athletes quite a bit. That's,
you're
around them, right?
That's really 100% of the time what I'm doing. And that's the beauty of what I enjoy about my role. To me, it's the best of both worlds. When I was in other positions within FCA as like an area director, for instance, I had to focus more on a whole area of 74 different high schools, middle schools, college campuses. And I felt spread thin. I felt a mile wide and an inch deep, and I wanted to be the opposite. I really felt called to just a passion for discipleship and just one-on-one ministry. And the college campus, this role, when that was presented as an opportunity for me, I jumped all over it because it was kind of a dream, dream job for me as far as ministry in sports. Like, let's go work with the Red Raiders.
And I want to bring this up, man, because I've been seeing you on Facebook. There's this Walmart jacket. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up right now. It's just popping in my head, but what's up with this Walmart jacket? You do so, and I tie this in because you go to a lot of games as within FCA too, right? Just support and stuff. But there's this Walmart jacket.
So that bad boy was on sale for like $16 at the Walmart over by Texas Tech back in like maybe late November, and I was like, gotta have it.
You gotta have it. Is this the one?
It's ridiculous looking, but I gotta have it. It's got the logos all over
it.
It's everywhere. And so I started wearing it. My wife was like, "You're an idiot." I was like,
she's got to take photos with you.
I don't care. So I wear it to the first like pregame or preseason game in basketball. We win. The next week, man, I wore it to the last home game for football against Kansas. We win. I'm
W.
This thing's got a win streak.
Like it's 2-0.
And so, then we go to another basketball game. We win again. And then just recently, the last home game against OU is a top 10. It's got my first top 10 win in the jacket. Not that I realistically have anything to do with it, but it just makes it fun. And, that's really what it's all about. But that dude's undefeated, that Walmart jacket.
So what are you just going to wear it to every home game that you're here? Is that the plan, or do you just bring it out when you think? How does that even go? It's almost like it's got a mind of its own. It's like a relationship at this point.
Yeah, I think at this point, I basically have to. I think I have to wear it.
But what happens, say there is a loss?
See, we don't even talk about that.
Okay, so we don't even get there at all.
No,
I was like, do we retire this or we keep it rolling?
I have thought about that. I'm like, man, what happens if this thing, loses? Is it just done?
Yeah, there's got to be end to the story.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll just have to let it play out.
It'll be interesting to see there. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You met your wife at Hardin, and did y'all move towards the Midland area together? When did y'all get married? How soon was this?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2010 and then came on staff with FCA right then in 2010. She was actually 2 years behind me at Howard Payne, so it actually afforded me the chance to get to stay close to her. We were engaged, got married in 2011 and then stayed there for a few more years. We had our first kid, and when we did, we were like, hey, it would be better to be closer to family, just have help.
Sure. Nah, yeah.
And so that's when the position, it just kind of God lined everything up to have an opportunity to move west. And so in 2013, we moved together with our 1-year-old at the time, and got closer to her family that all live out there. They all farm cotton in kind of the Stanton area, just between Midland and Lamesa. So we moved out there, and in fact, it was in the middle of an oil boom in 2013, and housing was ridiculous. So we couldn't afford to live in Midland, and so fortunately, her family, they had like a little farm hand house that we lived in, and
nice.
It was great. Yeah, so saved a lot of money, and then had another kid while we were there, and kept saving money.
How's the kid thing work, man? Because here's the thing:
let me tell you how the kid. Here's how it works. No, I'm just kidding.
Lay it out for me, man. I'm saying that because me and my wife, we're at the point now where we bought a home, we're settling down, and the children are popping up in our minds, and we're praying about that as well. And so, is it like, okay, once I have one, I just go ahead and throw it? We're gonna have them all. Or is it like,
I'm probably the last person to ask for advice on that, because we had a 5-year plan that, like, financially, let's wait before we bring another human into this world that we can afford to live. And I think it was our 4th month into marriage, my wife called me crying, I'm pregnant. And I was like, well, this is not how I ever imagined becoming a father, right? And so, that was not a part of our plan.
Yeah.
But, again, it's one of those deals where we look back and we wouldn't change it. But there's actually a pretty good gap. We kind of got our 5-year plan between him. Since he came earlier than we thought in our first year of marriage, he is now 8, and then I have a daughter who's 3 and a son who is 1.
That's right.
So we kind of went bang on the last 2.
Yeah.
But we had a gap there just so that we could kind of get on our feet.
Hold your bearing, get control of everything.
Yeah, and I've had people say, what's harder, going from 1 kid to 2 kids, or 2 kids to 3 kids? And my wife's crazy. She still wants to go to number 4, and I'm like,
she's on that. You're like, nah, cut it out.
I'm tapping out. But no, she's who told me, or I can't remember who told me, but the hardest transition is not from 2 to 3 or any other. It's from 0 to 1. That's what changes your life. 0 to 1, it absolutely changes everything.
It's funny you say that, because like a lot of my friends are starting to have children at this time, or a lot of them already have 2 or 3. Like, they're kind of in your shoes, and they keep telling me, man, like, when you have that first child, they're trying to sit here and explain to me from across the table, like we are, the amount of like love that they feel, and they can't even do it. They're like looking like, JT, I can't tell you, but it changed my life in a moment.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
If I I can only imagine how what the love of God is and what He feels towards us. But they're like, if I was going to get close to it, I would just relate it to that moment.
Yeah,
and
I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. It has helped me to understand my relationship with God as a father in a totally new light, and just to appreciate what he has done on our behalf through His Son. And just like, I'm way too selfish. I wouldn't do that with my son. And so it's just amazing. And speaking of selfish, it's funny, the levels of, we're all selfish. We're all self-centered. It's all about me.
We can't help it.
And I'm telling you, when you get married, it's like you realize how selfish you are, because you're going, man, it's not just I've got to consider someone else in every decision I make now. And it's like, just like that marriage completely transforms and opens kind of the eyes of how selfish you are, but it matures you in a good way. I would say parenting does the same thing, because once you start figuring out, all right, I'm kind of starting to get this whole marriage thing down, right? And then you throw kids in the mix.
It's a wrench.
No, you're really still very selfish.
Yeah, you don't even realize it yet.
And then you go, man, now I got to take care of somebody hand and foot, like feeding
Constantly.
them everything, wiping their butt, just like,
you
it's realize
like
how selfish you are.
Man, it's so crazy, because people are like, having kids is it's the greatest thing in the world, but it's the toughest thing in the world, at the same time.
Yeah.
And like, how do you even explain this anomaly here? It's like, it blows my mind to where I'm like, wait, do I want children? I mean, see the selfishness coming out right
Oh,
there
yeah,
already.
I
Like,
know.
do I even want this? But
No,
I do. I can't wait, man. And it's, we're at that stage where we're looking at it, and it's, it kind of makes sense at this point. And,
Yep.
I guess you just dive in. Sometimes I don't know the answers. I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to be a dad.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm going to have all these doubt and fears that just pop up in my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think it's awesome. And obviously you love being a father, and you get to take
Yeah.
your kids to game. They go to the games too.
Yeah,
or-
sometimes it's been harder with COVID just to come by tickets. Everything's limited, and so this year's definitely looked different in every way possible.
Sure.
But yeah, we love to take them, and they love it, man. Our kids at an early age are yelling Raider power, and it's a good time, man.
Well, speaking of COVID, how is COVID and FCA? How are they? Any changes
Yeah,
there?
great question. So one of the biggest things is obviously we live in a virtual world now as far as ministry goes.
Crazy.
We still do. We have stuff that we do with different sports as far as coaching staffs. We have team coaching, like Bible studies. We're just a staff, if there's some Christians that want to get together, and either I help facilitate that or provide resources to do that. Those things are still being done in person, sometimes when it's just in-house, that sport. But for us, like we actually, through FCA, we have individual sport things that we serve. But we also, on Monday nights, man, that's where we get sports, athletes from different sports all together. And we have more of kind of what we would call our weekly huddle. It's just a meeting. And that has looked very different because since August, basically, really since March last year, it's been all virtual to where everything's on Zoom.
It's a year now.
Yeah, and so if I never have to be on Zoom again, I'll be perfectly okay.
Yeah, you're
with
all
that.
right with it after this.
But put a lot of hours in on Zoom. So so it just looks different. We've the mission doesn't change, but the methods always do. And so we've just kind of had to call an audible and just adapt to it. And so, but it's been cool to see how that has in some ways opened new doors, and it's just been cool to see because we've got students who maybe they weren't coming in when we did things in person, but now I can text them and say, hey, jump on in 1 minute.
Right.
And here's the link, get on.
You're
and I can just kind
available
of stay after them, be more persistent, and they jump on because they're sitting at home. But if they've been at class, all day and workouts at 6 a.m. and then practice in the afternoon, and they finally get home, they've had dinner, and then they need to come back for we do FCA in the evenings on Monday nights, and they're going, nah, I'm not getting back out of the house.
Yeah, I'm
Man,
done.
I'm already on the couch. I'm crashing.
Yeah, I'm done.
So there was, I've seen new students get involved simply, I think, because of the virtual access of it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sick of it.
I know.
You miss that fellowship element of just being in person.
Yeah.
And, there's still a lot of things we get to do in person, but just out of respect, obviously we're guests on that campus as an organization. And so we're abiding by their rules. And I mean, there's not very many things more strict with COVID right now than the NCAA, and just the way they have to jump through so many different hoops and all the different testing. I was tested once and sometimes twice a week, every week, all through the fall, just with football season. And just so I could have access to the team and still be able to serve in that kind of chaplain role. A lot of testing, and I actually got it over Christmas.
You've had the COVID.
We had the Rona. So man, we now that we've had it, I realize I was exempt out this semester. I don't have to test anymore.
Good.
So.
You're good. Did you get the vaccine?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I guess some people say don't if you just recently had it.
Yeah, wait.
Just wait. So that's kind of where we're at.
I've kind of heard that too.
Still got all the antibodies.
Did everybody in the family get it that you know of, pretty much, or
Yeah. So my wife and I both did, and then our youngest one actually tested positive. Our two middle kids, 3-year-old, 8-year-old, nothing.
Yeah.
No signs, nothing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel? I'm just interested.
Yeah, we had real
different.
mild cases. I mean, I would say, I had the fever and the achiness.
Yeah.
That's where it started, and that's why I went and got tested.
Yeah.
Was just because of that. And then, we both lost our taste and smell, and that was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
My wife still says, and it's been weeks. I mean, it's been over a month.
Yeah.
And she still says her smell's not back 100%.
Yeah.
I think mine, everything's back to good, but it was over 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so, like the fever and some of that just low energy, just typical
Lethargic.
flu type symptoms.
Yeah.
Those things were, I would say at the height of it, like 3 or 4 days max.
Sure. Kind of like the flu.
But that taste and smell thing, man. And I've talked to a lot of people who months and months later,
Yeah,
and they still don't have it back. Yeah, you're like,
oh, is this ever going to come back?
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird, man. I mean, you're eating your food, you know what it should taste like, and it's just not there.
Yeah.
Big old steak or something.
I can't explain it. It was the strangest feeling ever.
Yeah, golly. So when you say we do FCA on Mondays, what's that? Y'all meet up? Where is that?
Yeah, well, typically we meet on campus in the football facility, but now just since everything is virtual, we're on Zoom, and so what we do is those meetings, I would call those more of, I don't want to say surface level because I don't even like to say that about it, but in a way, it's kind of just the entry point. Yeah. When we're trying to get someone new involved, if it's a new student athlete, and by the way, it's not just student athletes. Right. I mean, it's not exclusively. There's nothing about the gospel.
Yeah,
that's
I'm glad
exclusive.
you said that.
And so it is. I mean, we do have kids that come to FCA who maybe they were involved with FCA in high school. Mm-hmm. They come to Tech. I mean, there's 30,000 students. Wow. We have students that will come that they're not an athlete at Tech per se,
right?
But I mean, they're still it's still how they're wired. It's in their DNA, even if they're maybe not on some scholarship playing at Tech, and even with intramurals. I mean, I have a vision to see FCA reach into that intramural world because you've really there's only like 400 something athletes at Texas Tech.
Right,
that's not very many. When you're talking about 30,000, and so you look at intramurals and you've got thousands of kids, and so. Tapping more into that world of the sports on campus too, but no, on a Monday night, I mean, you have students kind of from all different sports, and even some just traditional students that aren't in athletics, and they come, and really what we do in a normal world, we try to just play a game. Like I said, it's kind of almost like a youth group on a Wednesday night in high school.
Right.
Man, we're just trying to engage them with some fun, give them something to do. And so we'll play some kind of lighthearted game just to kind of break the ice and connect with people. And it's a great way for student athletes to meet other student athletes from other sports, because when you're in athletics, man, it's so consuming, and you tend to just put on the blinders and you only know the people in your sport. And so this kind of just broadens their relationship, capacity. And so I love that about it, but no, beyond that's the surface level stuff. Then we either have a guest speaker.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that. I've seen that on Facebook.
We love to empower our student leaders to step up, and either they share some kind of a devotional, or we'll be going through more of a series or a curriculum of topics, in the Bible, just purely really Bible study at that point. But like right now, because it's so different, what we've done with the virtual world, and it's a good thing. It's kind of forced us to be a little deeper as far as, and we've always done that because we'll have team Bible studies and stuff like that, where you come to the Monday night to see everybody, but then it's almost like in a church, you come to the 11 o'clock hour to worship corporately with everybody, but then you also have a Sunday school class or a small group, for community, either that morning or in an evening throughout the week. So that's kind of what more of our team Bible studies are, and then the Monday night is like that corporate fellowship time, worship time. So, and we've had different, sometimes we'll bring in, if we have a student that can play the guitar or lead worship, and let them kind of lead out. We love to let it be student led, but sometimes we'll bring in a worship pastor from a local church or something like this, just to provide that for them. But no, like right now we're really split up, and really we only meet all together, guys and girls, once a month. But all the other Mondays of the month, we're split up, guys and girls.
Separate.
And we're just going through a series called The Core right now that's really just kind of over some basics of the faith. It's really just a discipleship training.
Sure.
So
is there anything in the future, like when are you going to get back, you think, or you're hoping to face everybody, not this whole virtual thing? Is there like an idea that you're wanting to shoot for, like by fall, hopefully will be normal, or is it ever going to be normal?
I really thought this spring would be our chance to get back, and it's still lingering, and nothing has changed. And so I mean, I'm still I'm an optimistic guy, glasses half full. So I'm sitting here saying, I mean,
we're going to be good by fall.
I think by next fall everything's back to normal, right? But I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Even and that's kind of a whole nother piece. I mean, I'm primarily responsible for FCA at Texas Tech. Like that's my role. But then we also have staff in this area who serve, like I did, like I was explaining,
high schools.
So we also have staff. Terry Kynard's our area director, and then David Sparkman is an area rep, and we also have another area rep that serves kind of a whole east side of the South Plains, who used to be a coach out at Idalou, Garrett Hurd. Anyways, all of us.
Is he a basketball coach?
Well, he's a head baseball, and then also coached a little bit of everything. I think he was defensive coordinator of the football, and
just involved.
But yeah, and then he's been there since they were, winning state championships and stuff like that. So
they were good.
Yeah. So in fact, he coached Bradley Adkins. So we've got 2 Adaloo guys on our staff that were a part of all those state championships. But
nice.
But no, so they serve all the local high schools, middle schools, but we work together as one whole team. It's just our responsibilities are a little bit focused differently. And so where my focus is tech, their focus is the whole area.
Yeah.
And so like we'll try to empower our student athletes because they've got this platform. Now you go and speak at an FCA at a high school or a middle school.
Yeah.
And I mean, so kids come and that's the influence. That goes back to the very beginning of how FCA started was athletes have this platform.
Yeah, and they do.
And so, yeah, when they speak, kids listen.
Yes, they
where
do.
They're not listening to their parents or maybe they're not listening to the pastor if they even go to church.
Right.
And a lot of them don't go. So it really does present a great opportunity to be very strategic with the gospel. So yeah, we love to work together and get our tech athletes out in the community to local schools and stuff like that. And so
that's neat, man.
So yeah, we work together. But I mean, we also provide like camps and other events. There's an event called Fields of Faith. And
that's a big deal.
And
Fields of Faith is a big deal.
All those things were shut down this year, and we had to do all that virtual, and it's just not the same.
It's not. Because Fields of Faith, man, you're bringing in a lot of kids to a football stadium, and you're having this big performance and music. I mean, it's a cool
Yeah,
cool
I mean,
thing.
for anybody that doesn't know what Fields of Faith is, just check out fieldsoffaith.com. But literally, it is a nationwide movement that was kind of started within FCA, but it brings churches and an entire community together. It's really an amazing thing, just uniting the whole body of Christ. And literally, we use a football stadium, and it's done in cities all across West Texas, but all across the country. But the one right here in Lubbock, because we meet at Jones Stadium, it is the largest in the world.
Huge, man.
At its max, it's had 12,000 students there.
God.
Now, on average, really in the last several years, it's been more like 8,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking. There's really not another youth event that quite brings that many students together. So
Rock
it's
the Desert. Remember that in Middle?
Yeah, absolutely been to that. Yeah, so it's really cool, and it's just super simple. I mean, it's students standing up, and that's the power of it. Mm-hmm. It's not that we necessarily bring in some big name band like Rock the Desert. Yeah. It's not a big name speaker. I mean, it's literally the power of it is it's peer led. Students are inviting students, and students are who stand up and speak,
and they lead the worship.
And we try to make them the ones who are leading out, and we will a lot of times have some kind of a guest speaker who will come and at least share the gospel at the end and give students a chance to respond. But thousands of kids' lives have been touched and changed just through that one
powerful.
event.
It's
and
powerful.
and so that's the thing through. Like we have a sports camp that we use all the facilities at Texas Tech in the summer, and we're literally right now this morning that was kind of consuming some of my time on emails back and forth with the university. Is it going to happen? Are we like what does this look like? And nobody knows.
Yeah. God, that's crazy. All right, so we have just a couple minutes left here. I told you it's so crazy how quick it goes by. So if people are interested in this whole FCA movement and stuff, is there somewhere they can go to find out more information, and where is that at?
For sure, yeah. So we've got a great website that we try to keep up to date with all the just kind of happenings and everything going on specifically right here in Lubbock, in the South Plains. Go to fcalubbock.org. Yeah, FCAlubbock.org. You can learn more about our staff, our mission, vision, and just all the different stuff going on. It's a great ministry. So, FCAlubbock.org.
Yeah.
And then we're also on social media. So just look up at TTU_FCA or at South Plains FCA. And that'll give you the kind of the Texas Tech and the whole area FCA.
Because and so that means there's no school too small. Everybody can be involved
Absolutely.
here. You're not it's not just for big school area. You
Absolutely.
know? So man, and it's a great organization. Just the more that I dive into it, and the people that I've met, the reps in Abilene, Jamie Calvary, I've kind of met. You said in a small way, but he's a great man.
Yeah.
And man, people like that and yourself, I'll get behind them all day long. Because they're doing God's work and chasing after His own heart. That's awesome, man.
Well,
that's
I appreciate Campus Live and all y'all are doing, and just for spotlighting good stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of negative in the media.
There is a lot of negative,
and man, I just appreciate y'all shedding light on all the positive. There's still a lot of good things going.
Yeah, I agree. And we got to make sure that we help each other and we lift each other up and all that time. So,
for sure.
Or we just drown in it. Nobody wants all that negativity. Get that out of my life, man. So
no doubt.
Well, Corbin, hey man, I appreciate you stopping by. I feel like this has a part 2 to it.
Okay, let's
Does
do
that
it.
make sense?
Yeah.
It just feels.
Let's
I have
go.
that feel that we haven't. We're just brushing the surface on this thing, and so. It's trying to throw all this together, and you can only talk about. It's just great. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe
it's just the
episode 2.
intro. This is just the
intro.
trailer to all the series
There
to
it
come.
is.
You know?
There it is. Man, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate it here, and hopefully we get to see you and talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you.